Hey guys, it's Sheev the Wise, and this is Vader's Lair. Today we're going to be talking about how Darth Vader could potentially tie into the Bad Batch, and how it could even make sense. Let's get into it.
Join me. Together we can rule the galaxy.
I am the Senate.
Ever since I had the opportunity to be on Nerd Theory with Star Wars Theory and the Den of Nerds, I've had a theory that we could see Darth Vader post Revenge of the Sith and potentially even see him killing the Bad Batch. Now for a while I kind of strayed away from this theory as it didn't have as much validity behind it, and frankly Darth Vader just seemed a little out of the question for this show. However, now with 4 episodes left, the way that they've set up the ending of this show, I think there's only one way they could potentially end this season, or if this is the only season we're getting, the way that they could wrap up this series. Now personally, I do think there will be a second season. I don't think there's any type of way that they could wrap up this entire show with only 4 episodes left. So I am excited for a potential season 2, as honestly I have enjoyed this show a lot so far. Now as for Darth Vader, how could he potentially make sense for the Bad Batch? Well, here's our first piece of evidence. Fans rejoiced last year when Season 7 of Clone Wars finally aired on Disney+. Throughout the season, there were many characters that made a cameo appearance in the new animation they used for Season 7, and it was honestly a super cool thing to see. We saw the likes of characters like Caleb Doom and his master, Depa Billaba. We also got glimpses of characters such as General Grievous, the Martez sisters, and even the Bad Batch themselves. And of course, at the end of this season, we cap off the entire show with Darth Vader finding Ahsoka's lightsaber. Now, obviously, this final scene was very poetic, as it honestly sums up the entire Clone Wars in one shot. The last shot of the show is a broken helmet with Ahsoka's markings painted on it, as we see Darth Vader in the reflection of the eyes. All that the Clone Wars really did was break many lives and shatter the galaxy, so that Sheev Palpatine was strong enough to take over. We've also seen many of the characters from Season 7 of Clone Wars though as well. We had Rex, a glimpse of Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Grievous. We got Caleb Doom and Depa Billaba in the first episode as we see what happens to them during Order 66. We had an entire episode dedicated to the Martez sisters, and really the only 3 characters we haven't seen, I guess, is Maul, Ahsoka, and of course, Darth Vader. Now maybe that's not a lot, and if you need more evidence, here's the second piece of evidence that you might need to convince you Darth Vader could come into the show. Darth Vader is the last cameo character that we see in the entire show as it closes on him. But that episode actually aired on May 4th, 2020 as the final episode of the Clone Wars. Now, tell me again, when did the first episode of the Bad Batch air? Oh, that's right. 2021, May the 4th. Does that mean we could potentially see Darth Vader? Who knows, man, but all of that really makes me believe that Bad Batch in a way is truly a continuation of Clone Wars, and with all the other cameo characters we've seen, it makes a lot of sense that Darth Vader could end up showing up. Now, how could Darth Vader tie in? Well, with what happened last episode and how Rampart is in control of Project War Mantle, I think things are going to go south for the clones really fast. I think with the clones proving that they have some sort of disobedience, starting with the Bad Batch, that Rampart and maybe even Tarkin will come to the conclusion that it's time to replace the clones with stormtroopers. Project War Mantle in a way is a start of how they're going to weed out the clones, but it's possible Project War Mantle could be put into full effect after what happened with Hauser, and especially if in the next 2 episodes Crosshair ends up betraying the Empire as well, or sacrificing himself for the clones or for the Bad Batch, that they're definitely going to ramp up the process of Project War Mantle, and it's possible stormtroopers will be in this show by the end of it. When we see Darth Vader in that final episode of the Clone Wars, it's clear as day that stormtroopers have taken over the army. I don't believe we were ever given an exact time period that this final scene takes place, but I'm willing to bet that it is probably going to take place around the time of the end of the Bad Batch, or at some point after this first season. Darth Vader not only fits in narratively with that aspect, I think it's possible that Darth Vader could be sent to Kamino during a clone uprising, and we could see Darth Vader taking out the clones in a similar fashion to how he took out the Separatists. Obviously, we would see him at a very strong hatred point in his life, so it'd be pretty wild to see Darth Vader post Revenge of the Sith kind of just wiping out the clones and the Kaminoans, man. I think it's definitely something we could potentially end up seeing. It would be a very dark scene, somewhat similar to what we got in Revenge of the Sith. But I think it could be a great way to cap off a first season and really show the clones what they're up against with the Empire. So yeah, with everything we've seen so far, I think it is possible that the words of Hauser in the last episode could touch or reach Crosshair on another level. And, you know, it might surpass the chip and make him realize he's doing something wrong. It could be that the chips are wearing thin or just not as effective as they started off. And especially since Crosshair has had his adjusted multiple times, it could be that the effects are starting to wear on it. And this could potentially lead to the clones uprising, or, you know, Crosshair defecting from the Empire, and they just have to get rid of the clones in some form or fashion. So why not wipe out most of them, you know? I highly doubt that the Empire trusts the Kaminoans at this point. It's pretty clear as day that they're not along with their plans and they don't want to pay them any more money. It really just seems like once the Empire is done with the Kaminoans, they're probably going to kill them off. I'm sure Palpatine will come to regret this. I've talked about how on this channel before how I think Palpatine's undoing was probably taking out the Kaminoans. We know he's not a big fan of aliens or like other species, but I think that could be part of his downfall. If he had the Kaminoans, it probably could have helped him create a more effective clone by the time of Return of the Jedi. It also is in line with what we see in The Mandalorian when Dr. Pershing is wearing a Kaminoan patch, and we see very few like non-clones working in the Kaminoan facilities. So overall, I may just be fanboy dreaming about Darth Vader. I do think it is possible we could see him or potentially Boba Fett in the end of the season, and then we need some type of character reveal to really cap off this season with a bang. I think Boba Fett makes sense too with all the hints that we've had, and having him and Darth Vader is on the table in my opinion. You know, with Boba Fett, we've seen Jango's blasters in Sid's room. We saw that prototype white helmet in Sid's room as well. We've literally had Boba Fett name dropped as we found out that the main character of the show outside of the Bad Batch, Omega, is somewhat like a sister to him and the only other Jango clone with pure Generation 1 Jango DNA. And lastly, of course, we saw Cad Bane in the show already, and we actually find out that Cad Bane most likely survived his duel with Boba Fett. Now, if you're telling me Boba Fett wouldn't want to at least come back to do the job, especially for a dude that's hunting a character that's somewhat like his sister, I don't know, man. Just seems like Boba Fett is the perfect person to put in this show, whether it's the end of this season or even in a potential season 2. I'm really hoping for Boba this season though, maybe even more so than Darth Vader. Let me know who you guys want to see at the end of the season down in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please smash that like button for me, as it helps the channel a lot. And if you do enjoy this content, go ahead and subscribe for more awesome Star Wars content just like it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and may the Force be with you always. Sheev out.